you guys, it's Nikita Lene back with another video. Today I want to talk to you guys about some of the things that I learned in the military that really translated over to me being a good nurse now. Military members are a hot commodity in the civilian world, and that's basically because the military puts a lot of training and energy into us. There's a lot of skills that we learned and that we're trained to do that make us valuable assets in the civilian workforce. So one of the first things that I learned in the military that really translated over to me being a nurse is flexibility and resilience. It's really true what they say that the only constant is change, especially in the military lifestyle. So first and foremost, you're going to learn that you don't really have as much control over situations. They're going to tell you how to talk, how to walk, how to eat, how to dress, every single thing down to your hair and your makeup. So you learn that the things that you do have control over, which when you first join the military is like so minuscule, very few things. You learn to really enjoy those things. You learn to control the things that you do have control over and how to go with the flow on things that you don't. Now as a nurse, I definitely recognize that I'm very flexible, and it shows because in nursing, it's the same. There's a lot of change. You can have this assignment where you get to know your patients. You know that you're going to come in the next day and have a great day because you're going to have those exact same patients. And you walk in the door with a smile on your face and your nurse manager says, oh, we're floating you to another unit today, or another floor in our case. And you don't really have much of a choice. You got to roll with the punches. You got to figure it out. So honestly, my time in the military, learning that resilience and learning that every single day is going to be different and you just really have to go with the flow, it's really helped me. It's almost comical to me because I have coworkers that complain about the smallest things like, oh my God, I can't believe we have to wear royal blue scrubs. And I'm thinking in my head, you know, in the military, I was told what to wear from my head down to my toes, what color my hair can be. I couldn't even wear my color contacts, and even what direction to put my belt on in, you know. So having the freedom to wear, yes, I have to wear royal blue, but I can wear whatever scrubs I want to wear. I can wear whatever shoes I want to wear. I can wear my makeup. I can wear, you know, however I want to wear, as long as it's within reason. And you know, so little things don't really get to me. I'm completely okay with having flexibility where I do have flexibility and going along with the flow on things where I don't have control. The next thing is your get stuff done attitude. Now, in the military, we already know you don't really have that many options. Either you do your job, you get out of the military, or you go to jail. Because the Uniform Code of Military Justice says you're going to show up and you're going to do your job. And there aren't really any other options, right? So when it comes to your time in the military, a lot of us, we know, okay, I have a 4-year contract, I have a 6-year contract. I'm just going to do my job. I'm going to go home, and that's all there is to it. And you do that every single day until your contract is up, or you may end up switching jobs or career fields, whatever the case may be. But you understand the fact that every day I'm going to come to work and I'm going to do my job to the best of my ability and I'm going to go home. And you have this get stuff done type of attitude. Additionally, you learn the concept of doing more with less, because every single one of us who's been in the military has dealt with a time where there's some type of budget cutbacks. There's less supplies, less people, and you still have to get the mission done, period, point blank. So you kind of learn to develop this, I'm going to get it done regardless, kind of hustler attitude. And that shows in the civilian world. A lot of times my coworkers, they'll look at me like, oh, you were able to get that done, or oh, I wasn't able to help you. Did you get that project done? Yes, I'm going to get it done regardless. I'm always going to come to work. I'm always going to get my patients taken care of, whatever it is I have to do. I have to be resourceful and I have to figure things out on my own sometimes. And I may have a crappy assignment, but at the end of the day, I always get stuff done and go home and enjoy my time with my family, period, point blank. So, you know, as you progress in the military, or you've had your time in the military, you've learned this concept. And you learn that you may not like your job, And some days you're going to love your job, some days you're not going to like your job at all. But you have to learn how to get in there and get it done regardless, because hell, you have a contract and that you have to meet. And although orange may be the new black, like honestly, I'm not going to jail for anybody. So I learned that I'm going to come to work, do what I got to do until the end of my contract. And then the end of your contract, you have a choice. You can extend, you can re-enlist, or you can get out and be a civilian. But you know what your options are. And every single day, I think it's just the concept of that uniform code of military justice that gets your butt out of bed and makes you go to work and do what you got to do and keep that hustle mentality on a daily basis. Like, I'm just working through my contract. At the end of this contract, I'm done. But every single day, you just do it. And you don't have to complain, or I mean, sometimes you can. Sometimes you have your coworkers that you can vent to, but at the end of the day, you may be complaining, but you're gonna get it done. And it makes a huge difference to have that attitude of either way, it's gonna get done regardless. So the next part, simply put, is lead, follow, or get the hell out the way. Most of you guys have probably already heard this saying if you are in the military or have been in the military. And I think it really tends to translate into the civilian world, because what this pretty much means is that sometimes you're going to be in charge and you got to step up to the plate and get it done. Sometimes you know that you have to follow. You have to shut up and do what you got to do and follow someone else's lead. And, you know, in the military, that just is what it is. You learn your chain of command. You learn at some point that I'm not in charge, so I need to shut up and follow the lead of this person who is in charge. And sometimes that there are civilian situations that happen where I see some of my coworkers complaining about their assignments, complaining about just everything that's going on, or going up to supervisors, telling supervisors, I'm not doing this, you need to do this. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you're down here towards the bottom of the totem pole, honey, and you're acting like you're at the top, and just not understanding the concept of what a chain of command is, where you fall in that chain of command, and that if you're told to do something, just get it done. You don't need to argue every single thing. Not everything is even worth an argument to begin with. Like, you just need to understand when to lead and when to follow. On the other hand, we also figure out that in the military, sometimes you're put in charge of things before you feel like you're ready to be. You're given a lot of responsibility at sometimes a really young age, because your age doesn't really matter. They look at your rank, and sometimes they look at, you know, what you've done up until that point in the level of responsibility that you've had before. And sometimes you're thrusted into situations where you are in charge of something so big before you even feel like you're ready. So you learn leadership from every single angle at a very, very, very young age in the military. And you got to step up to the plate, and you have to learn how to lead, and you learn how to lead by example. And there's going to be times where you mess up and you got to figure it out along the way, but you learn how to be resourceful. You learn how to figure things out, and you learn that concept at your core. You lead, you follow, or get the hell out of the way, because there really are no other options. And when I tell you that translates so well into the civilian world, knowing when to take a step back and follow, and knowing when it's time for you to step up and lead, it makes a huge difference in your day-to-day. And it really translates to your supervisors and to your bosses when they see that you're able to take orders gracefully. You don't get offended when they have to be very direct with you. But if they need you to step up on a project, you're able to step up and get it done. You're able to find the resources that you need, and you're able to provide them with this end product of what they need. They're gonna make you, their go-to person. You're gonna become the go-to person. And they're going to automatically look at you when it comes to promotions, and look at you when it comes to moving to, other units and things like that, because you are that person who's not going to complain. You're not going to push back every time they ask you to do something. You're just going to be the get it done kind of girl, or get it done guy. And that makes a huge difference. And there's they're going to also think about you first when it comes to promotions, because they're going to know when it's time to step up to the plate, I know that this nurse is going to get it done. And I know that this nurse is always going to take good care of his or her patients. So this is going to be the first person that I think about when I think about someone who's ready to move to this next level. All right, so up next is something that anybody who's been in the military or even military brats know, and that's being the new girl or the new guy. Every single time you move, you start fresh. You are the new person on the unit. You are the new person in that job, and you got to figure it out. You learn quickly how to adapt to your new surroundings, your new city, the new country you live in, whatever the case may be. You understand how to adapt like a chameleon because you've been through this process so many times. I myself am an Army brat, and then shortly after my dad retired, I joined the military. So I can't even tell you how many times that I've moved to a new country or a new state or a new city. And you learn really quickly whenever you're meeting people. You find things that you connect on and that you have in common, and you kind of just learn and grow from there. And you build these bonds and relationships from your similarities, and you understand the concept of being new and having to adapt to your surroundings almost every 2 years at some point. You know, for us, it was almost every 2 years that we ended up moving. And when I was in the military, I was on active duty for a little over 9 years, but I had moved 3 different times. I was at 3 different bases. And so every single time I moved, I knew, okay, not only am I the new girl, but sometimes I'm moving to a whole different area in my career field. So I have to learn this whole new job in a new country with completely new surroundings. So you're learning a new job, you're learning a new language, you're learning about a new culture, and you're getting to know your coworkers around you. Everything is new. So you really learn, like I said before, the flexibility and how to adapt, but you also learn about networking, and you really have to learn about getting to know the people around you and how do I fit into this puzzle. This really translates well to the civilian world too, because there are going to be plenty of times where you are in your comfort zone on your unit that you work in. You know your coworkers, you're used to working with your coworkers, but every single shift is going to be different. You're working with a whole new group of people. Sometimes you have to float to other units, so you have to get used to whatever it is on that unit that you have to do. For us, we have either med-surg or the ICU. And when I float to the ICU, my job responsibilities are completely different than when I work on med-surg unit. Well, I shouldn't say completely different. I should say I have more responsibilities because we don't have med techs working on that unit. So that means that I have to change my routine. I switch my routine up. And even though I have less patients working in the ICU, I have more work in the ICU. And so, you know, you just pretty much adapt. I also know that I have new coworkers working up there because there are specific nurses that work up there that don't go downstairs to the med-surg units. So you learn different personalities, you learn how to adapt to your surroundings, your coworkers, your job responsibilities, and you literally become a chameleon. You have to learn how to adapt quickly. But when it comes to being in the military, you already understand that. You already know what it's like to be the new girl or the new guy. So it's so much easier for you to really come in and adapt and figure things out. And it's almost like second nature, and it's almost kind of exciting because you're doing something new. You get to see a different environment, you're learning new things, you're meeting new people. And so it almost becomes fun to be able to do that. That concept kind of flows into the next concept, which is teamwork. So from day one of basic training, from the drop 'em, pick 'em up game that you play as soon as you get off the bus, you quickly learn, like, I thought I came here as an individual and I mattered as an individual, but no, I got to learn how to be a team player really quick or I'm not going to survive. And I think it's crazy to think about the concept that you get on this plane and you go to this place and as an individual, and that eventually you are eating, showering, shit, shower, shave, living with these complete strangers that become family to you because you have to do everything with these people. And you quickly learn that if you don't figure it out with these people, if you don't come up with a routine of what works, and if you don't work together every single minute of every single day, that none of you are going to survive. So you build routines and you figure out how to survive this traumatic experience that you're all going through. And that is the basis, or the foundation of you learning teamwork in the military. Like I said before, you're going to have to learn how to work with people that you don't like, that you don't know, and you have to find some type of ground to connect with those people and to build these relationships, these professional relationships with people. So the military is definitely a mix. You get people from all sorts of different religions and races and backgrounds, and having to come together and complete the mission, like period, point blank. You have a mission that has to get done day in and day out. So it doesn't really matter what differences you have to learn how to set those aside to get the mission done. And in the medical world, it's the same. You're going to have people from all sorts of different backgrounds, and you have to learn how to come together to take care of these patients. And although as a nurse, you're kind of like, you're an individual, but you still have to work as a team. So as an individual nurse, I show up and I have my assignment of my patients that I'm responsible for. But at the end of the day, I have to be able to help all of the nurses on that unit. So if another nurse comes to me and says, hey, I need help with my patient, I need to be able to be a team player and to help that nurse. Like, all differences put to the side. Even if I don't like that person, even if me and that person had an argument earlier that day, if that patient needs help, then that patient needs help. And I have to drop what I'm doing. Well, not necessarily always drop what I'm doing, but I have to be able to drop our differences and put all of that to the side to get in there and take care of that patient no matter what's going on. So I definitely recognize that my time in the military has really helped me to be able to set aside my differences. And even if me and a coworker, we could have just had some type of confrontation, which I haven't really experienced so far, but I could have just had a confrontation with one of my coworkers, and 10 minutes later, there's a patient who is going into cardiac arrest. Well, guess what? We all have to come together in that room, work as a team in that code. So you really, really learn that in the military. And when I tell you, it makes a huge difference when you're a nurse, just understanding teamwork and taking the different pieces of learning how to work as a team from your previous background and incorporating them into the medical world. If you weren't prior medical or prior nurse or prior anything that has to do with the medical field, it could be difficult, but that military experience is going to translate over, and you're going to be able to incorporate all of that teamwork and learning how to deal with difficult people into your day-to-day as a nurse. Last but not least, if you aren't ready, you got to learn how to get ready. There are so many experiences in the military where they don't care about your age, they don't care about how long you've been in the military or even how long you've been in a specific job, and they could drop a level of responsibility on you or a new job or a new program that you need to manage, and you may not be ready, but you have to get ready. And there's not really any excuses. There's not really the option of, oh, we'll pick somebody else, or oh, we'll hire someone else from an outside agency to do this job. It's the doing more with less type of concept, that sometimes there may be 4 people that work in your duty section, and guess what? You happen to have the highest rank, or you happen to be the person that they feel is, you know, the fit for the job, whether you fit the rank for the job or not. That's happened to me before too, where they're like, well, you know, you have the same rank as 4 of your peers, but we feel like you have what it takes to get the job done. And you can't say, oh, thanks for thinking about me for the opportunity, but no thanks. Like, no, you have to step up to the plate. And if you aren't ready, you have to get ready, which means you have to find the proper resources to educate yourself. You have to find what you need to be able to get that job done, whatever the job may be. Sometimes that means you have to go to a specific training for your job. Sometimes that means, some late night reading at home. But every single day you have to step up to the plate and you have to learn and you have to figure things out, because saying no and quitting the job is not an option. And I think that the way that that translates over to being a nurse is the fact that there are going to be different tasks and things that you have to do on that just pop up, different skills that you may have never done or you haven't done in a long time, but you have to figure it out. You have to step up to the plate and say, okay, let me go grab all the supplies out of the supply room and I'll be right back. And sometimes while you're in the supply room, you are looking things up, or maybe you had to go run to the nurse's station and go look up whatever your hospital's regulations and rules are on that procedure. But you got to figure it out. And I think every single day of nursing is that same way, is figuring it out. It's stepping up and saying, okay, I'm deficient in this area, but I'm going to make myself ready because I have to get this task done because my patient needs me. And additionally, understanding what is outside of your scope and understanding where to get help and how to find the help that you need. And once again, that could be rules and regulations. That could be going to your peers and saying, hey, I need help because I don't understand how to do this. Can you teach me how to do it? In the military, most of the training that we do is see one, do one, teach one. And then you're signed off on that skill. So I've realized as a nurse that that's helped me in so many ways, because you got to learn on the fly. There's a lot of things in nursing you learn on the fly. You just so happen to see someone do that same skill yesterday, and guess what? Now you have to do it today. And you can't be like, oh, I don't know how to do it. You can't always grab your coworkers and have them do it for you or help you do it. Sometimes you just got to step up and say, okay, I saw this yesterday. You're not going to tell your patient that you just saw it yesterday. You're just going to step up and you're going to do it. And you're going to walk and talk yourself through it and figure it out as you go. So that see one, do one, teach one type of learning style, it really helps you because you are kind of thrusted into learning where you're constantly learning, but it's active learning and you got to figure it out. That's kind of how you end up learning. That's how we learn in skills lab in nursing school. You watch your instructor do it and then you do it on the sim dummy, and sometimes you have to teach your classmates how to do it. And that carries on to nursing, because there's plenty of times where I had to watch my preceptor do something, whether it be charting, whatever skills that you do. Wound care is a huge one in my job. We do a lot of wound care. And so I can kind of watch my preceptor do something and then I have to do it. And then, I mean, I'm not precepting anybody else, but every once in a while my coworkers may say, hey, can you show me how to do this? Or are you familiar with using this? And I can say, hey, yeah, I just did the one just last week. And then I get the opportunity to teach and walk someone else through it. So just being able to translate that from my military experience to now, and knowing how I learn and how having the opportunity to teach other people, it really solidifies that I know those skills. It also helps with the repetition of walking and talking through different situations. And it helps me to always be actively learning. I'm already used to actively learning, because in the military, things are always changing. You're always learning new programs, new processes, new rules and regulations, and that continues on through my medical career from this point forward. The medical world is the same. You're always learning. Things are always changing. You have to stay abreast on different rules and regulations, and so it keeps your brain active. It keeps you in this always learning state where you're always able to learn from the people around you, and you're always actively learning and growing. Last but not least is the level up concept. The great thing about the military is that there's always room for growth. There's always room for growth as far as your rank, as far as your job. You're able to learn and grow in your job. And I think the military, they're constantly pushing you to learn and to grow on a daily basis, on a yearly basis. And so it gives you something to always strive for. You're always striving for that next level. And it keeps you hungry. It always keeps you hungry, not necessarily in competition with people around you, but in keeping you in competition with yourself, so that you're always striving to obtain that next level of knowledge, that next level in your job, that next promotion, and you stay hungry and you keep that mentality to always continue to learn and grow, because you want to challenge yourself and you always want to beat yourself and learn something new and grow from who you were yesterday.